The worrying thing about fatty liver is the majority of people with fatty liver have no symptoms at all. And that's why a lot of governments are now very worried. At most, there are certain non-specific symptoms, fatigue, malaise. I mean, in this COVID period, working in Singapore, living in Singapore, who doesn't feel tired? Who doesn't feel just a bit unwell, you know? How about this vague discomfort in the right upper quadrant of your tummy, which is near your rib cage, you know? Who doesn't sometimes feel a bit bloated? The worrying thing is that when we finally get the symptoms and signs, it's already cirrhosis, end-stage liver damage. You get yellowness in the eyes, jaundice, ascites where the tummy is filled with fluid, and also worryingly, some people present with vomiting large amount of blood due to something called varices. Now, let's get to the part where we tell you how to manage the NAFLD. I think that's what most people come here for this evening. The first thing to say is that if your liver is already damaged by the fat, please do avoid things that can damage it further. We already mentioned alcohol early on. Now, herbal medicine and traditional Chinese medicine has its role in healthcare. I do say that, okay? But one thing is, if your liver is vulnerable from the fat already, you might want to consider not taking it. You got to remember that the quality control of herbal medicine and traditional Chinese medicine is lacking compared to international standards of medicine manufacturing. People like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Janssen, you know, Roche, they spend billions making their factories and things to adhere to strict standards. Now, the recipes may not be reproducible. Sometimes, you know, they take a bit of this, a bit of that, and then they mix it up into a packet and say, here, take this. Whereas every single tablet of approved medicine by the HSA is the same. The first tablet that comes off the machine to the 1 billionth tablet. That is why the HSA regularly checks on all the medicine that's approved in Singapore. The amount of food, the amount of yummy food that Singapore has, it's very hard to control food impulses. Sometimes people have great intentions, but unfortunately, they can't decrease their food intake and they lack the certain amount of willpower. A lot of people say to me, doctor, there's so much good food in Singapore, hard to resist lah. I don't like exercise, very hot lah, Singapore, okay? So they say, what can I do? So I say, that's very difficult, very tough lah, if you want to lose weight. Then they say, come on, there must be something. So I say, well, you can try something like this, right? You can try, this will hold you back from your impulses to eat unhealthy food, but you can still drink water and things through here. But obviously, we know this is not appropriate and this cannot be done in real life for long term. So people always say, just give me the medicine, melt away my fat, doctor. Okay, that's the other thing that people say to me. I wish it was as simple as that, okay? But unfortunately, you can just Google the internet. These are just some, just from last year, you know, multiple products are still available in the open market that people do take for that magic weight loss medicine. I would suggest that if you want to take any weight loss medicine, to take it from a registered doctor. Now, we don't advise people to take medicine as a first line usually, okay? Now, why? Because every medicine has a potential side effect waiting to happen. Vitamin E, everyone thinks, well, that is just a very simple supplement. Vitamin E, it occurs in eggs, it's got lots of it in eggs, right? It does improve liver function, the vitamin E, improve the damage in the liver tissue, but in men, it has a small risk of causing prostate cancer in the long term. And more worryingly, it can kill people who've previously had a history of stroke or heart attack. Something simple. It still has a problem. Okay, what about omega-3? Lots in sardines, salmon, and in nuts. It decreases the fat in the liver, improves liver function test. But the thing is, how long are you going to take this for? Okay, it all still boils down to trying to control the fat in the liver. Now, the first thing we always tell people is lifestyle modification. That's the thing that is good long term. Now that it's very hip and very much in the media about this thing called intermittent fasting. It drives the body into this state called ketogenesis. It improves fat burning in the body. Intermittent fasting is very effective to lose weight. There are many health benefits. It improves the blood sugar control. Remember, a lot of these people may have type 2 diabetes as well. Improves the liver function blood test. Now, there are various combinations of intermittent fasting. You could have the 5-2 method or the 16-8 method. In the 5-2 method, you eat normally for 5 days, but for 2 days, you cut your calories down to 600, 800 calories. That's quite a lot decrease than your usual recommended amount of calories. For a man, it's about 2,000 to 2,500, and a female is about 1,600 to 2,000. So you can see you're cutting more than 50% of your calories in the intermittent fasting if you do the 5-2 on the 2 days of the week. In the 16-8 method, you fast for 16 hours and then eat your normal meals for 8 hours. Not like squeeze everything, like squeeze your breakfast, your morning tea, your lunch, your tea time, your dinner time, your supper into the 8 hours. No, just eat normal meals. Intermittent fasting works by switching from burning sugar in the body to burning fat in the body. Now, people say, I'm very hungry, doctor. I can't take it so many hours I don't eat. Now, there are certain things that you can do that will help to keep to the fasting state. For the morning, you might try black coffee, tea, green tea. Warm water seems to work better than cold water. Bedtime, you might just try peppermint tea or chamomile tea. This have no caffeine. It gives you the feeling of not feeling hungry when you go to bed. One way to improve the fat burning is to do exercise just before you're breaking your fast. It burns even more fat. The important thing is to plan your diet daily. You must have good nutrition in addition to intermittent fasting. Calorie for calorie, 1 calorie from salmon is going to be different from 1 calorie from pork belly. We know that, okay? So it's important to plan your diet as well. What about ketogenic diet? Remember the Atkins diet? Eat lots of proteins, etc., but low carbohydrate. It also drives the body into a state of ketosis, where the body burns fat as the preferred fuel. It results in weight loss and decreased fatty liver. But one thing that people don't like is the low carbohydrate part. People say, we are Asians. We like to eat rice. We like to eat noodles. Yes. So that's why they have come up with substitute. You can get cauliflower rice. You can get courgette or zucchini pasta. You can get seaweed noodles, right? Fruits, yes, you can't eat durians, right? But you can still have star fruit. You still can have watermelons. You can't have things like potatoes and things, but sometimes if you miss the other types of vegetables that are not allowed on a keto diet, you can still have things like bean sprouts. So there are a lot of other substitutes for the keto diet. The one that is the most popular with people with fatty liver is the Mediterranean diet, which is rich in polyunsaturated. You can see the breakdown of different fruit groups. It reduces fatty liver, and some even the fat in the liver do go down to the normal levels, improves the liver function test. It's very easy to follow it and keep it long term. You don't have to chong and then end up in hospital, right? But obviously you must have a certain amount of intensity. All right, you can't just say, I walk from my sofa to my front door, I walk from my front door back to my sofa. I did that 3 times. That kind of intensity is not going to be very beneficial. Aerobic exercise, running and cycling, anaerobic like resistance training, HIIT, high intensity interval training, is anaerobic, and these are good. Also be aware that HIIT, you need to do it appropriate to your fitness level before you get injured. Now, a simple way to start exercising is the one I have stated down below. Now, why do I say this? Because I actually had a man who was 108 kilograms, 108 kilograms. Over nearly 3 years, he reduced down to 72 kilograms, right? He had a fatty liver. And I told him that, look, you're only in your 40s. You are unfortunately going to need a liver transplant in 10 years' time, okay? And that worried him. And he says, where am I going to get a liver from? I say, well, do you have any children? And that was what focused his mind. He wanted to make sure that he was going to be there for his children. So he started by walking 3 minutes and then jogging 30 seconds. I think that is very doable for most people. He did 3 times a week for 20 minutes, all right? And after 1 month, you increase the jogging to 1 minute, but you still keep to the same frequency and the intensity, and you slowly increase. The second month, you might increase your jogging to 1 minute, all right? Now, why 20 minutes? 20 minutes is 10 minutes out from where you live. It's going to take you the same 10 minutes back. If you can't think that you can exercise 10 minutes away from just walking away from your home and 10 minutes back, you got to think, what motivation you have for exercise, right? 26 minutes is so that you increase 13 minutes out from where you live, 13 minutes back, okay? And over time, just cut down on the time of walking and increase the jogging time. Now, that man who lost weight to 72 kilos, I followed him up for 3 years. He never increased his weight to more than 73 kilograms, right? He never dropped more than to below 71 kilograms. So after I've known this gentleman for many years, and before I discharged him from my clinic, I say, hey, are you still doing that 3 minutes walk and 1 minute jog? And he laughed at me. He said, Dr. Kong, I'm already running 10K and 21K, okay?